Have you ever felt like the latest book you've read on personal development sounds basically like words will be worded, thoughts will be thought, feelings will be felt, assalam success, right? Like it just becomes this kind of treadmill or merry-go-round of repetitive stuff, fantastical sounding ideas or theories, all kinds of nifty, clever metaphors and analogies, etc., etc. Well, if you ever found yourself or are finding yourself in that headspace and in that place, I have something for you that may help you. Because once upon a time, I myself was in that kind of state after spending a lot of time consuming a lot of personal development, self-help content and all the subcategories of it. So let me give you some helpful insight or something that may help you that helped me, and there's an insight that helped me that I've turned into a practice. So there is a statistic that is bandied about in the self-help, personal development, business growth circles. And it is this statistic that something like the average Fortune 500 CEO reads 40 books per year. Not 100% sure on that number, but that's generally the idea, is that this group of high-performing CEOs does this activity. They, on average, read 40 books per year. And it would seem to me that when many men hear this, what they hear is read books, read more books, read lots of books. And what I tend to find is there seems to be an indiscriminate, non-discerning, wholesale consumption of just self-help, personal development, business growth content. And that can lead to many things, a few of them being burnout. Again, words will be worded, thoughts will be thunk, right? Feelings will be felt, assalam success. It's kind of my corny way of summarizing it. And so one can begin to wonder, is this all just snake oil hogwash, right? Is this all just bullshit? Well, let's pause that and let's go over here for a second, open up a different thread, another vignette, and then we'll circle back. In the United States military, there is a officer ranking based upon category, and I believe it's E0 through E10 or something like that. And to go from E0 to E10, you have to go to E1, E2, E3. You can't just hop, skip, and jump. Along the way, there is a list, as you can imagine, there is a list of prerequisite knowledge, skills, practice, competence, etc. that's necessary to be promoted to the next level. A part of the prerequisite things required is a selected reading of, I believe it's approximately 200 different books, cumulative from E0 to E10. Again, I might be getting the E's and the numbers wrong, but the idea is that's the general idea. Now, here's the main point. Do you think that those 200 books are just simply assigned as read more books, read books on success, read books on thinking, read books on psychology? Not at all. In fact, for every next level, regardless of what level you're at, 2, 3, 7, 5, whatever, there is a specific set of assigned prerequisite reading that is necessary to go from, let's just say, E5 to E6. And first, you have to read the content, read the books, right? And you're told that you have to read the book to understand, to learn A, B, C, and then to understand 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. you have to get some sort of a specific understanding out of it. Knowledge, skill, etc. Comprehension of something. And so then you are first tested on your comprehension of the information in the book, aka knowledge, and then you are tested on competency, aka application and practice of said knowledge into reality in that role to show that you have competence, aka congruence, so that then you can qualify to go from E5 to E6. And the same thing happens E6, 7, 7 to 8, etc., right? So there is specific assigned reading for every level based upon the skills, knowledge, comprehension, and competence that is a prerequisite to be promoted to graduate to the next level. And you're not doing E7 level reading if you're at E2. You're doing E2 to E3 level reading. You dig? Okay. Now let's go back to the statistic about CEOs, Fortune 500 CEOs reading 40 books a year. Fortune 500 CEOs are not indiscriminately just drinking out of a fire hose of content and reading books that are the latest and greatest trendy self-help, pop psychology book. That's missing the forest for the tree, if you will. They are mostly reading books that have very specific tactical or strategic application to challenges that they're currently facing, goals that they're currently pursuing, right? Niches or fields or industries that they're expanding into. So domain-specific knowledge. But most of those 40 books per year are not just, yeah, any 40 books will do. No. Understand, if you're a Fortune 500 CEO, you have a lot of responsibility. You've got a packed schedule. You're working on a lot. So your reading time needs to have an ROI. It needs to take you as a CEO from E5 to E6. It needs to help you take your company from E7 to E8 as an analogy. You dig? So check this out. I'm hanging out the other day with a friend of mine, and he was sharing with me some of the things that he's been dealing with in life, some of the issues and challenges he's been facing. And one of the things that I asked him was, what books has he been reading of late? What content has he been consuming? And I believe his list was Daring Greatly by Brene Brown, whatever her name is. The Untethered Soul, a popular book. And something about this book that's popular. It's about like the 4 archetypes: the magician, the king, joker, magician, warrior, whatever, lover. Like there's these 4 masculine archetypes. All right. Now look, nothing against those authors. I'm going to assume that all those books are great. I have all 3 of them on my bookshelf. I haven't read those 3 specifically. I've thumbed through them, but I haven't sat down and read them yet. But I've heard a lot of good things. The thing is all those books, those 3, they are all spiritual-based books, right? I've read hundreds of books, and by now I can tell you pretty much what subcategory of what niche of what genre a book is generally going to be about just by the title and the description. And if I read 3 random pages in the book, I can kind of tell you exactly what I can quadrant the book where it's at, right? Triangulate. I can triangulate the general gist of the book. These books, for somebody who might be having spiritual problems, would make sense, right? But my friend is not having spiritual problems, or at least that's the least of his problems right now. My friend is having financial problems, cash flows coming in, but all of it's going out every month, and he finds himself in more and more debt while making good money. That's weird, right? But not uncommon. My friend has continued to put on weight for 2 years. He is tubby. I told him this because I'm the friend that believes love ain't lies, and I'm going to tell you the truth. Hate me or love me, but you can always come to Andre for the honest truth. My friend is having relationship issues with his lady. Common, right? Okay. I asked him, I said, dude, I love you. Let me ask you a question. What in the fuck is the untethered soul, daring greatly, or magical fucking archetypes going to help you with your money management skills in your money plan, your financial plan? What's it going to do to help you with your fitness, your health? We're not even talking about having a six-pack. I'm just talking about getting healthy again, right? And what's this going to do to help you with understanding female nature, relationship dynamics, etc., etc.? Nothing. So why are you spending time reading it? What I pointed out to him is what I point out to so many men. So often, the content, once we start consistently consuming self-help personal development content, the consumption of the content becomes an ends to the means itself, meaning it becomes an escape in and of itself. And we are no longer actually consuming for comprehension and then applying and testing for competence and therefore getting an ROI. The consumption of the content becomes the goal. The means becomes the goal. So it then becomes an escape. It's just head knowledge. And so many men, I believe, and have found, find themselves to be in the same pattern of behavior as my friend. Reading books that sound intelligent, wonderful, philosophical, probably are helpful, going from the right stage to the right stage. E7 to E8 as an analogy. But my friend, let's say he's dealing with some E2, E3 level problems trying to get to E4. Reading E7 stuff, while great to know in the head, is not going to translate to application and forward progress and elevation of one's life from E3 to E4. What he needs to read about is financial management and get a plan, right? I recommended a couple books to him, one of them being Profit First, right? He needs to really understand female nature better and relationship dynamics. He needs a practical set of principles and knowledge around that. He has absolutely no frame in the relationship. You know, fitness. He just needs to get a plan. I told him you just need to do 75 hard finally, you know? So what I'm pointing out here is if you are indiscriminately consuming content, be aware if that hasn't become the goal itself, to just consume content, and now it's actually an escape. Because it makes no sense to me to know somebody's reading 40 books a year, but their life doesn't dramatically change in 1 to 2 years. Are you with me? So when you think about the statistic about Fortune 500 CEOs on average read 40 books a year, understand they are reading some very niche, tactical, specific, focused books with an actual reason for it, an intention for it. There's something very specific they're trying to understand, something very specific they're trying to learn and then apply from that. So when you are going out to consume content, what you first must do is get a very realistic self-assessment of where you're at in life, what your next real practical milestones and goals need to be to move forward in life, to improve in life, to move closer to your goals. Figure out what knowledge, skills, and competence you are lacking to move forward towards that milestone or goal. And then only exclusively consume content that will help you to fill for and plug for that gap in your skill, knowledge, competence, etc. And immediately apply what you read and learn so that you can get comprehension and competence, which will then set you up to acquire skills, right? Set you up for congruence, set you up for mastery, so that then you can actually effectively and successfully apply, get results, and grow. That's the message for today. Do not blindly consume content, because then for the sake of, it'll just become for content consumption for the sake of content consumption. If you're happy with where you're at, consume content if that's what you enjoy. I consume content regularly that isn't in any way of practical value to me, to my understanding, including novels. I do it simply just for pleasure. But if you're reading personal development and self-help content, consuming it with the idea that it's going to help you elevate in your life, and you're not specifically intentionally choosing content that is based upon the practical steps I just laid out a minute ago, then as an analogy, you're reading E7 stuff or E8 stuff when you need E2, E3 stuff. And so you're just words will be worded, thoughts will be thought, feelings will be felt, assalam, success. It's just going nowhere. This is how I end up meeting men who have read, they tell me, 40 books, 80 books, 100 books, 200 books, still got the same level of financial success they did 4 or 5 years ago, still got the same level of fitness and health from 4 or 5 years ago. None of it's extraordinary. Still dealing with one busted relationship after another. How are you consuming 100 books and not getting some kind of result with it? I'll tell you how. I just did in this whole video. So, if you're going to consume content this year, do it with an intention for specific comprehension and then competence that is going to help you very pragmatically and practically move forward in your life towards milestones you've identified as the stepping stones to your ultimate goals, so that you actually start transferring this knowledge into results.